current events I want to bring to your attention. I'll start with the one that probably is on everybody's mind, and that is about Brexit, right?
Yeah.
Brexit, British exit from the EU. Who would have ever thought that would happen? And of course it hasn't happened, but the people voted strongly to do it, and there's a huge uproar in the country now by those that don't want to do it, and all of Europe is in turmoil, and the stock markets around the world are taking a deep breath, or something worse. And this is all because England especially, but other Britons, not all of them, want to disassociate from the free trade and the free borders of the European Union. And why do they want to do that? Well, there's probably a variety of reasons. Economics are some of it, I suppose. But I think the big thing is everybody in the European Union is afraid of the Islamic invasion. And they don't have any way to keep it from happening with their open borders. Once those migrants get into any part of the EU, they can just infiltrate wherever else they want to, including England at the far end of the world, you know? And England already has a huge problem with Muslims.
Yes.
And I just need to say this, like I give a disclaimer when I talk about Catholics, I want to say that I know and you know that not all Muslims are bad. I will have to say, and I hope in kindness, they're wrong, but they're not necessarily bad. In fact, they say the radical element of Islam is only about 10%. But 10% of a billion people is a whole lot of people. And some of them are here with us. And a lot of them are in England and the rest of Europe. And it's causing big problems for the people. And as terrorism continues to rise, you know, 2 weeks ago I started my class and somebody said, "Did you hear about Orlando?" I hadn't even heard, you know. It happened Sunday morning. Big problems, you know. And all of Europe is facing that. And so the United Kingdom says, well, we need to disconnect. Right. And so let me just read some of the headlines that we got on this. I started on my website with Franklin Graham. If he's got something good to say, I'll prefer that to most anything else I put up on the page. Franklin Graham says the UK deals a blow to world government, one world government. And so he said in I think a Facebook post, if I remember right, that the Bible says there will be a one world government, but this is a step backwards. And so most of the people that believe in Revelation the way I teach it, which, you know, there are thousands of people, and all the major, you know, books about end times and everything are pretty much on this line, but others don't necessarily agree with the timeline. But if you do, then there has to be a world government in the book of Revelation. And we're just now getting to study that right now, so it's timely for us. Yes?
I don't know, probably nobody here can remember back this far, but when Wendell Willkie was nominated for president, he was for the one world government, and we knocked him down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's most people don't really like the sound of that, but on the other hand, we have moved so far in that direction now. The world has shrunk. The economies, the trade, the migration and immigration. So we're definitely moving radically in that direction, and that is what the Bible said would happen. But I wrote a blog this morning. If you get a chance, you might want to read the whole thing, but I'll just give you the essence of it. It's Brexit is the problem of iron and clay. Does that ring a bell? Because we've been looking at that Nebuchadnezzar's image in Daniel chapter 2. We talked about it 2 or 3 times, so I won't ask you to turn there right now. But you remember it goes from the gold head of Babylon to the silver chest of Medo-Persia to the brass of Greece, and then finally the iron legs. But the Roman Empire was the last great empire that really could have said it was a world empire. There have been lots of other empires, but they were limited. The last part of that statue was iron feet that are mixed with clay. Remember? And then the rock comes out of heaven and lands on the feet, and because of the clay, the thing breaks, the whole image falls over and bursts into smithereens, and then out of that, the rock grows into a great mountain, which is God's kingdom. Jesus Christ is King of Kings. So the clay, and I've been saying this for a long time, and I always have to say, you know, what if the Lord doesn't come? This is a little parenthesis right now. What if the Lord doesn't come for another 20 or 50 years? It's possible, okay? I don't see that will happen, but it could happen. Then people that are teaching this at that time will say, oh, back in, 2017, 16, this is what they thought. But now we know such and such and such and such, and this is a better fit even than what they thought. And that's the way it's been in prophecy from the very first century. Bible believers and students of the Bible could always say, look, this could be, what's going to happen in the end times. But it hasn't been, and it hasn't been, and it hasn't been. And that's why some people say, where's the promise of his coming? Well, we're getting closer, I can tell you that. Whether we say anything else, we're definitely closer than we ever were before because of the timeline. Yes, Art? Art, you have a question?
Yeah, no, I was thinking, how many times have we counted the 10 countries?
Yeah.
Now this is a readjustment to the 10, right?
Right. And there's things, when we get a little bit further into the world government stuff in Revelation, I'm going to give you some rationale on the original 10, as opposed to the 28 that exist right now.
Right, sure.
It would be 27 once the United Kingdom steps out. But the 10 is still significant. But anyway, we'll get to that at another place, but it is important. So this says the decision by the British voters to leave the European Union is at least a temporary setback for the politicians in this country. These are Franklin Graham's words. And around the world who want a one world government and a one world currency. Okay, but that's a good thing. If it is a setback, I am not eager for the world to end because there's too many people that don't know the Lord. Right. So something that would put the brakes on that for a little while and give opportunity for another revival. See, I'm always beating that drum, but it's out of my heart. I can't help it. I think there has to be another revival for the sake of the young people that don't know the Lord in our generation. But maybe this is the thing that will slow it down enough for that to happen.